The sound of the zipper splitting open echoed through the hallway like a gunshot. My suitcase hit the wet pavement with a heavy thud, and I watched in slow motion as my childhood photos spilled out into a muddy puddle. The rain was coming down hard, soaking through my shirt within seconds. Mum stood in the doorway, her face twisted with rage I'd never seen before. "If you won't save this family, you aren't part of it anymore," she screamed. Her voice cracked on the last word. "Get out. Just get out of my house." I stood there, frozen, watching the water turn the edges of my baby pictures brown. 26 years of memories were drowning in dirty rainwater, and my own mother was the one who'd thrown them there. My hands shook as I bent down to gather what I could save. This couldn't be real. This wasn't happening. But the cold rain on my back told me it absolutely was. My name is Maya Vance, and that moment on the doorstep changed everything. I straightened up slowly, clutching wet photographs to my chest. The rain plastered my hair to my face, but I didn't care anymore. Something inside me had shifted. I wasn't that scared little girl who always did what Mum wanted. I walked back toward the door where she stood, her hand still raised like she might slam it shut any second. I leaned in close, so close I could see the veins pulsing in her temples. "Check the deed in that suitcase, Mum," I whispered. My voice was steady now, cold even. "You just threw away the only thing keeping you off the streets." Her hand stopped midair. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. She looked from me to the suitcase, then back again. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For the first time in my life, I'd left my mother completely speechless and frozen. 2 days earlier, everything had seemed almost normal. I'd come home from my shift at the hospital to find Mum pacing in the living room. My brother Julian sat on the couch, his head in his hands. I knew that posture. It meant money problems. "Maya, sweetie, sit down," Mum said in that sugary voice she used when she wanted something. "We need to talk about a family situation." Julian wouldn't look at me. That's when I knew it was bad. Really bad. "Julian made a small investment error," Mum continued. My stomach dropped. "How small?" "Yes. 50,000, Julian muttered. Actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. $50,000. "Julian, where did you even get that kind of money?" Mum's face hardened. "It was family money, Maya. Money we'd been saving. And now we need your help to fix this." The way she said it made my skin crawl. Like it was already decided. That night I couldn't sleep. Something about Mum's tone kept nagging at me. Family money we'd been saving. Paid all the bills. I bought all the groceries. What family money? At 2 in the morning, I crept downstairs to Mum's desk. I told myself I was just being paranoid, but I had to know. What I found made my blood run cold. Credit card statements. Dozens of them. All in my name. Cards I'd never opened. Cards I'd never even heard of. The balances made me dizzy. 20,000. 15,000. 1,000. My hands shook as I added them up. Over $60,000 of debt. I found the applications next. Each one had my signature. Except it wasn't my signature. It was close, but the loops were wrong. The slant was off. My own mother had been forging my name for months. This wasn't just about Julian's gambling problem. This was financial warfare, and I'd been the target all along. The next evening I confronted her. Julian was out, probably hiding from his mess as usual. "I found the credit cards," I said quietly. Mum didn't even flinch. She just sipped her tea and looked at me over the rim of her cup. "You weren't using your credit. Someone had to." My jaw dropped. "Those are felonies, Mum. Identity theft. Fraud. Don't be dramatic. You're my daughter. What's yours is mine. And Julian's debt. Press. What about that?" She set down her tea with a sharp click. "You'll take out a second mortgage on this house. It's the only way to save your brother." I stared at her. This woman, who'd raised me, who'd sung me lullabies, was looking at me like I was nothing more than a bank account. "No," I said. The word felt powerful. I won't do it. Not this time. Her mask slipped then. The loving mother act vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. Then you can get out. I spent that night in a modest hotel near the highway. The room smelled like cleaning products and old carpet, but it was mine. Nobody was yelling. Nobody was demanding money. Nobody was forging my signature on fraudulent documents. I lay on the stiff mattress, staring at the popcorn ceiling, and waited for the guilt to come. Didn't. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. The weight of that house, of constantly trying to fix everyone else's problems, was gone. I'd been carrying my family on my back for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to breathe. But the relief was complicated. I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. There would be a legal battle. Mum wouldn't just let this go. Neither would Julian. Tomorrow I'd need to find a lawyer. Tonight, though, I ordered pizza and watched terrible reality TV. For the first time in years, I felt almost free. My phone rang at 7 in the morning. Mum's number flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. On the fourth try, I answered. What? My voice was flat. Maya. Thank goodness. I've been so worried. Her voice was bright, cheerful even. Like nothing had happened. I was hoping you could give me the Netflix password. Mine stopped working. I sat up in bed, stunned. The Netflix password. Mum, you kicked me out yesterday. You threw my suitcase in the rain. Oh, sweetie, don't be silly. We were both just emotional. You know how family gets sometimes. So, about that password. She was gaslighting me. Trying to pretend the entire confrontation had been nothing. A little disagreement. Water under the bridge. No, I said simply. No password. And no more money. Goodbye, Mum. Hung up. She called back immediately. I blocked the number. It was time to stop letting her rewrite reality. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and coffee. His name was Mr. Torres, and he'd been recommended by a friend from work. I explained everything, showed him the forged credit card applications, told him about the house situation. He listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Let's start with the house. Do you know how the deed is structured? I shook my head. Dad had died when I was 19. I never thought to check. Mr. Torres pulled up the county records on his computer. His eyebrows rose. Well, this is interesting. He turned the screen toward me. The house was left entirely to you, Maya. Your mother was listed as a life tenant, which means she could live there. But only with your explicit, ongoing approval. My heart hammered. So she can't kick me out. She can't kick you out. Legally, you're the owner. She's essentially your tenant. Felt dizzy. She doesn't know that, does she? Mr. Torres reached into a filing cabinet and pulled out a dusty cardboard box. This came with the estate documents when your father passed. It was addressed to you, but according to our records, it was sent to the house. Your mother signed for it. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were letters. Dozens of them, all addressed to me in Dad's handwriting. The postmarks were from years ago, shortly after he died. Letters he'd written before his death, to be delivered to me later. I'd never seen them. Never even knew they existed. I opened the first one with shaking hands. Dear Maya, it began. If you're reading this, it means enough time has passed. I want you to know the truth about the house, about your worth, about everything I've set up to protect you. Tears blurred my vision. My father had tried to reach me from beyond the grave. And my mother had hidden every single letter to keep me in the dark. Julian found me in the hospital cafeteria during my lunch break. I didn't know how he'd gotten past security. He slid into the seat across from me, looking awful. His eyes were red, his clothes wrinkled. Maya, please. I need to talk to you. Kept eating my sandwich. Mum told me what you did, he continued. Stealing the inheritance. Keeping it all for yourself. That's Dad's money, Maya. It belongs to the whole family. I set down my sandwich slowly. Let me get this straight. Mom told you I stole something. She said Dad left the house to both of us, but you're trying to take it all. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Julian, I've been paying every single bill on that house for 7 years. Every mortgage payment, every property tax, every repair. Where were you? I've had my own expenses. Your gambling debts aren't expenses. His face flushed. So you're just going to abandon us? You're 31 years old. I'm not abandoning you. I'm refusing to be your ATM anymore. There's a difference. He stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. Other people looked over. You'll regret this, he hissed and stormed out. I watched him go and felt nothing but sadness. The brother I'd once loved was gone. I mailed the eviction notice myself. 30 days, just like Mr. Torres advised. Official, legal, undeniable. To Lydia Vance, it began. You are hereby given notice to vacate the property at 847 Maple Drive within 30 days. I included copies of the deed, proof of ownership, and a list of tenant resources. Mr. Torres said it was more than generous. You could have given her 3 days, he'd pointed out. But despite everything, she was still my mother. 30 days felt right. When I dropped the envelope in the mailbox, I expected to feel guilty. Instead, I felt powerful. For once, I was setting the terms. For once, I was standing up for myself. I knew what was coming. Mom would explode. She'd make phone calls, spread rumors, play the victim. Her. I had the deed. Had the letters. I had the truth. And truth, I was learning, was its own kind of weapon. The Facebook post appeared 2 days later. My cousin texted me a screenshot. There was a photo of Mum, looking frail and sad, sitting in what appeared to be an empty room. The caption made my stomach turn. My daughter is evicting me from my own home. After everything I've done for her. After raising her alone when her father died. This is what children do to their parents now. Please share so others know what kind of person Maya Vance really is. The post had been shared 47 times. The comments were brutal. People I'd gone to school with called me heartless. Neighbors said I was ungrateful. Someone even suggested I should be ashamed to call myself a daughter. My hands shook as I read them. Then I stopped, took a breath, opened my own Facebook account. I posted the credit card statements with my forged signature. The letters Dad had written that she'd hidden. The deed showing my sole ownership. And a simple caption. Here's the truth. Within an hour, the narrative had completely shifted. Now people were calling Mum a fraud. The shame she'd tried to put on me had boomeranged right back. I went to the house the next afternoon to collect some things I'd left behind. My key still worked, even though I half expected her to have changed the locks. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Mum, called out. No answer. I walked through the living room, down the hall, toward Dad's old office. That's when I heard it. A metallic scraping sound. I pushed open the office door. Mum was on her hands and knees, crowbar in hand, prying at the floorboards. She spun around when she heard me, her face flushed with effort and guilt. Maya, I didn't hear you come in. I looked at the torn-up floor. At the safe underneath that I'd never known existed. What are you doing? This is my house. I can remodel if I want. This is my house, Mum. And you're breaking into a safe that doesn't belong to you. She stood up, still gripping the crowbar. For a second, I wasn't sure what she'd do. Then she dropped it with a clatter. There's money in there. Your father's money. It belongs to the family. No, I said quietly. It belongs to whoever Dad left it to. Which I'm guessing isn't you. The locksmith came that afternoon. While Mum watched from the doorway, seething, he drilled open the safe. Inside there was no money. Just 4 leather-bound journals and a sealed envelope with my name on it. I opened the envelope first. Maya, if your mother is reading this with you, ask her to leave the room. What's in these journals is for you alone. Mum's face went pale. Maya, whatever he wrote, he was sick at the end. You can't trust. Get out, I said. This is my house, and I'm asking you to leave this room. She looked like she might argue, but something in my face stopped her. She left, slamming the door behind her. The journals detailed everything. Mum's affair with Dad's business partner. Her plans to leave him once she'd secured enough money. Her manipulation of Julian, turning him into her ally. And most heartbreaking of all, Dad's realization that she'd never actually loved him. She'd loved his money. I read until my eyes burned, until the words blurred together. By the time I finished, I knew exactly who my mother really was. 2 days later I got the call. Miss Vance. This is County General Hospital. Your mother was admitted this evening with chest pains. She's asking for you. I drove to the hospital, my stomach in knots. What if this was real? What if, despite everything, something was actually wrong? I found her in the emergency room, sitting up in bed, looking perfectly fine. She saw me and immediately clutched her chest. Oh Maya, I'm so glad you came. The doctors say it might be serious. A nurse walked by. I flagged her down. Can you tell me about my mother's condition? The nurse checked the chart. She had some anxiety-related chest tightness. We've monitored her for 2 hours. Everything's normal. She's cleared to go home. Mum's face flushed. She'd been caught. I walked to her bedside and set down a card. What's this? She asked. Get well soon card. Open it. Inside, I'd written a list of local homeless shelters, along with their phone numbers and visiting hours. You've got 28 days left, Mum. I suggest you start packing. I walked out before she could respond. I'd wasted enough time on her games. Julian showed up at my apartment that Saturday. I almost didn't let him in, but curiosity got the better of me. He looked worse than before. Desperate. I'll testify against her, he said before I could even close the door. Against Mum. I'll tell the court everything. The forgeries, the manipulation, all of it. I stared at him. Why would you do that? Because you're going to win. Can see that now. And when you do, there'll be money. From the house, from Dad's estate. I need my share, Maya. Felt sick. So you'll betray your own mother for money. She'd do the same to me. You know she would. The awful thing was he was right. Julian, there is no money. Just the house. And I'm not giving you anything. His expression turned ugly. Then I'll sue you. I'll tie this up in court for years. Go ahead, I said tiredly. I have the deed. Have Dad's letters. Have everything. All you have is debt and empty threats. He left without another word. I locked the door behind him and realized I felt disgusted by both of them. They deserved each other. The mediation room was small and airless. Mum sat across from me with her lawyer, a tired-looking man who clearly knew his client was lying. Mr. Torres sat beside me, calm and prepared. Mum's lawyer started with emotional distress claims. How I'd abandoned her. How she'd raised me. How she deserved to stay in the house indefinitely. I let him talk. When he finished, Mr. Torres simply placed a small recording device on the table. Before we continue, I'd like to play something. It was the audio from the night Mum kicked me out. I'd recorded it on my phone, not even really thinking about why. Now I knew. Her voice came through clearly. If you won't save this family, you aren't part of it. The sound of the suitcase hitting the pavement. My voice quiet and shaking, asking why. Her response, cold and final. Get out of my house. The room went completely silent. Even Mum's lawyer looked uncomfortable. My client was emotional, he tried. Your client committed identity fraud, Mr. Torres interrupted. We have the documents. Would you like to see them? Mum's face crumbled. She knew she'd lost. Going through Dad's papers revealed something else. Something that made my skin crawl. A life insurance policy. Me. The beneficiary. Lydia Vance. My mother had been paying premiums on a life insurance policy that would pay out $500,000 if I died. I showed it to Mr. Torres. His face went grim. When was this taken out? 3 years ago. Right after I got my nursing license. He rubbed his jaw. Maya, I need you to take this seriously. This changes things. You think I couldn't even finish the sentence. I think she's desperate. I think she's used to manipulating you. And I think $500,000 is a lot of money to someone with nothing left to lose. That night I changed all my locks. I varied my routes to work. I told my closest friends what was happening just in case. Seemed paranoid. But then again, a month ago, I'd thought my mother loved me. I'd been wrong about that too. How much else had I been wrong about? I sent the final warning via certified mail. 24 hours to vacate, or I'd be reporting the forgery and the insurance fraud to the police. Mr. Torres had wanted me to skip the warning and go straight to the authorities. But I needed to give her one last chance. One last opportunity to do the right thing. She didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't show up at my door. The 24 hours passed in heavy silence. When the time was up, I called Detective Morrison at the Fraud Division. I explained everything, provided all the documentation. He listened carefully. This is pretty cut and dried, he said. We'll open an investigation. Don't be surprised if she tries to contact you. Don't engage. I won't, I promised. That night I finally slept soundly. Not because I was happy about what I'd done, but because I'd stopped carrying the weight of her choices. Whatever happened next was on her, not me. For the first time in my life, I was free of my mother's shadow. The police called me 3 days later. You can access the property now. We've taken photos for evidence, but your mother is gone. I drove to the house with my best friend Casey beside me for support. The front door was unlocked. My childhood home had been destroyed. Ungrateful was spray-painted across the living room wall in angry red letters. The kitchen cabinets were smashed. Holes punched in the drywall. Every family photo had been torn from its frame. Casey gasped. Maya, I'm so sorry. I walked through the destruction, oddly calm. I'd expected this. This was Mum's final tantrum, her last attempt to hurt me. It failed. These were just things. Just walls and paint and wood. She can't hurt me anymore, I said aloud. And I meant it. I called a professional cleaning crew, took more photos for insurance and left. Tomorrow I'd start fixing this mess. Tonight, I'd remember that I was stronger than her rage. The renovation took 6 weeks. New drywall, fresh paint, refinished floors. I was in Dad's old office, removing his desk to donate it, when I noticed something odd. The bottom drawer didn't quite sit right. I pulled it all the way out. Behind it was a hidden compartment. Inside was a single key on a chain and a note in Dad's handwriting. Safe deposit box 447, First National Bank. For Maya only. My heart raced. I drove to the bank that same afternoon. The manager checked the records, verified my identity, and led me to the vault. Box 447 was small and unassuming. Inside was a velvet pouch. I opened it carefully. Rare coins. Dozens of them, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The manager peered over. Those are Morgan's silver dollars. Some look uncirculated. This collection is worth. He paused, calculating. Easily 100,000. Maybe more. There was one more thing in the box. Letter. Maya, build your own world. Don't let them burn yours down. Love, Dad. I held the letter to my chest and cried. Finally, the closure I'd needed. Julian's arrest made the local news. He'd been caught trying to use fake checks to pay off his gambling debts. The charges were serious. Fraud, forgery, intent to commit theft. Mum called me from Julian's phone. I shouldn't have answered. Maya, your brother needs 20,000 for bail. You have to help him. I almost laughed. I don't have to do anything. He's your brother. Family helps family. You threw me out in the rain, Mum. You forged my signature. You took out a life insurance policy on me. You don't get to talk to me about family. That boy is going to jail because of you. No, I said calmly. That boy is going to jail because of himself. He made his choices. Just like you made yours. Maya, please. He's a man of his own making now. Just like I'm a woman of mine. Goodbye, Mum. Hung up. This time I didn't feel guilty. Felt free. They'd spent years trying to drag me down into their chaos. Not anymore. Never again. 3 months later everything was settled. The house was sold. I'd made a decent profit, even after all the repairs and legal fees. I'd paid off the fraudulent credit cards, cleared my name and started fresh. The rare coins from Dad's safe deposit box had been appraised. Combined with everything else, I had enough to make a real change. I'd always wanted to help other people in situations like mine. People trapped by family manipulation. People who didn't know their own worth. So I started a foundation. The Vance Foundation for Financial Independence. We provided legal assistance, financial counseling, and housing support for people escaping family fraud and abuse. The first client was a young woman named Amy. Her father had been stealing from her for years. Her story was heartbreakingly similar to mine. When I helped her see the truth, helped her break free, I felt something click into place. This was my purpose. Dad had given me the tools to save myself. Now I'd use them to save others. Mum showed up at my new office on a Tuesday morning. Security called to ask if I'd see her. Almost said no. But I needed closure. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, eyes red and puffy. She'd aged 10 years in 3 months. Maya, she said, her voice cracking. I'm sorry. For everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm so sorry. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Part of me wanted to believe it. Wanted to think she'd finally changed. But I knew better. I forgive you, I said quietly. Not for you. For me. Because carrying that anger was killing me. Hope flickered in her eyes. So we can. But I will never see you again. The hope died. Maya, please. You taught me something important, Lydia. I used her first name deliberately. Watched her flinch. You taught me that blood doesn't make someone family. Love does. Respect does. And you've shown me neither. So this is goodbye. Forever. She started crying. I didn't. I stood, walked to the door and held it open. She left without another word. I closed the door and locked it. That chapter of my life was finished. 6 months later, I stood in my new apartment. Small, cozy, all mine. The foundation was thriving. We'd helped 15 families so far, with more coming in every week. It made real friends. People who valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. On my kitchen counter sat a suitcase. Not because I was being kicked out. Not because I was running away. But because I'd finally booked that vacation I'd been dreaming about. Costa Rica. 2 weeks of beaches and sunshine and absolutely no family drama. As I zipped the suitcase closed, I thought about that rainy night. About standing on the doorstep, watching my life spill into the mud. That girl had been broken. Plus, afraid. But she'd found her strength. She'd learned that sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you need. Sometimes you have to build your own. I grabbed my suitcase, locked my door and headed for the airport. The past was behind me. The future was mine. And for the first time in 26 years, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Free.